Good evening, you're watching Trending Tonight. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. The million-dollar question, will Facebook and Twitter be banned in this country tomorrow onwards? That is the 26th of May onwards. It's a difficult decision, but the manner in which things have unfolded and the tough positions that have been taken, it appears to be a possibility. Government versus Facebook and Twitter and various other social media giants. Is the social media in this country in no man's land? What's the future of social media giants in India? That's going to be a big discussion. We'll have some experts also who will put in their view also on the show, and we will concentrate on this and build up to the 1st of June when the government is likely to take a decision. Exams in the time of a pandemic, where obviously for children, for 12th class students, the present is tense. But perhaps they hope that the future is going to be perfect. Will it be perfect? Will an ideal decision be taken as far as their examinations are concerned? We'll speak to students themselves and try to figure out. Now, as the deadline approaches for India's updated IT rules, leading social media networks have failed to comply. There's a lot of ambiguity around whether these platforms will be banned in the country. Facebook has said it will comply to the IT provisions and continue to discuss few issues, while Twitter and YouTube are yet to issue a statement. In fact, some statements now coming in from the parent company of YouTube called Google. Will Facebook and Twitter be blocked? The centre's deadline for compliance ends tomorrow, which is the 26th of May. All right, I want to introduce our two guests this evening who are pretty much experts as far as this field is concerned. Jitin Jain is a cybersecurity expert, and Apar Gupta, a lawyer and executive director of the Internet Freedom Foundation. Both of them do not have the answer to this question on whether Twitter, Facebook, and all these social media giants are going to be banned come the 26th of May, because that is a decision the government is supposed to take. But Mr. Jain, if the government were to take this decision, will it be right?
Hi Sanket. So all this speculation which is going on social media that Twitter and Facebook may be banned for tomorrow, it's just, I would say, a fake news. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. You know what has happened is that government has notified certain IT rules for significant data intermediaries, जिनको 3 महीने में comply करना था. Now, unfortunately, none of these 3 big techs have complied with those rules. Now, and those rules are for intermediaries. So if these companies decide not to comply with the rules, what will happen under the provisions of law is that government can waive off the protections given to these companies under the safe harbor provisions. So in a way, these companies will not have any protection as an intermediary. They will be liable for the content as any other platform is, for example, any TV or news publication. And they can be criminally sued, they can be criminally investigated, they can be held criminally accountable for any content which is there on their platform. They will not be then in a position to say that, look, we are only a platform, we are an intermediary, we cannot be held accountable. So I think that is one decision which may be taken by the government at some stage. But so far as the banning of these platforms is concerned, I think it will happen someday in the future, but abhi to aisa kuch nahi hai. But yeah, this entire debate and what has happened yesterday by Delhi police landing up at the offices of Twitter, I think now we have seen across TV channels that Delhi police was raiding or searching Twitter's office, now which did not happen. What has happened and why it was important to know what happened and why the police went is that Delhi police had issued a notice in that toolkit investigation. I will not go into the veracity of toolkit, but Delhi police as a lawful processor sent a notice to Twitter.
No, it's interesting that you mentioned that point, because, you know, Jitin, that's exactly a fear that there will be political intervention. That cases where a legal notice can be served, in those situations you will have the Delhi police smartly dressed up in jackets, reading Delhi police, will go there, film themselves, and all sorts of things are going to happen when the government wishes to. So there will be greater government control over everything, over opinion.
This is a major issue, and all of us in our hearts knew, Twitter also knew that someday things will come to this. The way the confrontations were happening, Twitter was refusing to comply with government orders, simply not willing to comply with any provisions of law. These things were coming to this. Now, what has happened? Delhi police issued a notice to Twitter India MD to asking him to join the investigation.
Yeah, but
and
I have
record a
limited
statement.
time. If we go into that Twitter episode of Delhi police
No,
and all,
no,
it will take a lot of time.
Please, only for 30 seconds.
Okay.
I am here not about what Delhi police has sent. I want to tell you what Twitter has replied. Twitter India MD says, boss, you have knocked the wrong door. You have sent a letter to a wrong guy. I have got nothing to do with Twitter. What I run here is a separate company, which is a sales and marketing company. For your content notices, please go to US. Now, this is the stand all these companies have been taking for 10 years in different judicial forums, that we have got
and that's
nothing
why
to do
there
with the
should be a
content.
grievance officer in the country. I get the point. Now, Apar, see, that's the point. Do you think that these big tech, these tech giants, took it too easy and casually for a very long time? Partly our responsibility. I mean, even now we are dictating terms to them. We still don't have a data protection law. I mean, that would have settled it, right? Permanently. Look at Europe. They've got a data protection law. Things are settled.
Not only data protection, Sanket, they have taken this country for a massive ride. They have profited of a large amount of social injury, individual injury which has taken place. They have cornered the market. So their competition side impacts which needed to be examined in a timely manner by the Competition Commission of India. It's only stepped up now to some degree. There were regulations, binding regulations which are necessary by the Election Commission of India to impose penalties. We still don't have it right now. On data protection, India is one of the few countries which has never imposed a fine when there has been demonstrated conduct and enough evidence that there have been data leaks, manipulation, disinformation campaigns across these platforms. What do we have are best faith measures, practices, and measures to delay any kind of enforcement. And here, I would like to say that all of these events which have taken place do not justify what is happening today under the intermediaries rules. So I may agree a lot with what is the sentiment behind the making of stringent regulations, but the form of the regulations just for the stringency are not serving user interest. They're serving the greater power of government over these platforms. Of government, state as well as central, to dictate to them what to do and what not to do, which is not
control
constitutional.
information. And control information in the name of fairness.
Exactly, but here again, I will say that the rules to about 15 to 20% do serve user interest in certain parts. For instance, any content which is taken down, a person whose content is now being taken down needs to be given a fair notice and needs to be heard by a platform. But on balance, what are the other provisions? They undermine end-to-end encryption and privacy. They say there needs to be active monitoring of posts through automated filters, and re-uploads can't be done of content which has been earlier taken down. And this will be through automated filters. It won't have context. There are other things which are very concerning. Now, like the question which you put to Jiten, I just want to answer this.
Sure.
Can Twitter and Facebook be blocked in India? And I'm prompting your question even before you ask it, Sanket.
Yeah.
Can Twitter and Facebook be blocked tomorrow in India? In my view, things have not come to a boil. And that metaphor coming to a boil basically is that frogs are first placed in a pan and then a slow boil is started before the boil is reached. So the slow boil has right now started, and these compliances are making an environment in which one day we may see a block which does occur on one major platform and then is negotiated away. And we are stepping slowly towards that outcome, and that mahal, that environment is being created.
Yes. Okay. Jiten, but the point is the manner in which it is being done. I think Apar mentioned a very, very good thing. That we need rules is a given. We do. Right? The law of the land has to be followed. We can't be taken for a ride by big tech giants. But whose interests are these laws going to serve?
Yes.
Is it going to serve the interests of governments or of the people?
No, I agree with Apar that we badly need a data privacy law. A lot of leaks which have happened in last 1 week, Air India, Domino's, and at least Air India decided to go ahead with the public disclosure. Domino's did not even go public with the leak and breach of data. So I think with the law coming in place, all these things will come to an end because penal provisions will be in place, and so would be with the big tech. So now whole issue that, but there is another question. we can imagine and daydream that when the law will come, everything will fall in place. But the question is that when the law comes, will this big tech comply with the law? I think this whole exercise of WhatsApp by sending 7 times a day notices, trying to trick a user to give consent.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is informed consent because the law talks about informed consent for purpose. And now this business of trick consent, literally robbing of people of their rights of privacy and collecting data, is being done so that we can do all these things even before the law comes in place, so that we can say, "Ye to pehle hi ho gaya, ab hum to ye pehle consent hai," all this is done and forgotten. Now second, suppose, and on the issue of this Twitter compliance and all, what is government asking? That please appoint a grievance officer and compliance officer here as a resident in India. Because you have got 40 crore users and you make billions of dollars, not in one guy in Ireland without a telephone number. All he has is an email ID. They want you and us to give email ID and a mobile number for verification, but the grievance officer does not have a mobile number. And one officer for 40 crore people sitting in Ireland who does not respond ever. Now second, if at all they had appointed, and since they are refusing to comply with the government rules, will they comply with the law? They will not. They will find a way to manipulate. They will find a loophole. The point is that if they had complied with the law, if they had appointed a grievance officer or a compliance officer or an India head, the police would not have to go to their office to look for a guy who can say that I belong to Twitter and I can accept your notice. They would have known that whom to serve a notice instead of getting a stupid reply and making a mockery of law saying that mera to Twitter se kuch lena dena nahi hai. Can Sanket Upadhyay tomorrow say that, oh, this is NDTV India, we have got nothing to do with NDTV English group? I mean, whom are you trying to fool? So
I know what you're trying to say. But the point is,
thinking of big tech, the colonial mindset that we are operating on an island where no laws applies to us, and every parliament, every country's law, state, everything is
not applicable to us. And these companies have become so big. But be that as it may, the point is, Apar, my final question. You see hashtags flying around today, and we'll put them on screen also, of a lot of people supporting Twitter also, that we stand by Twitter, we stand by Facebook, right? All of that has started happening. There is a huge debate, pro and anti tweets that are going on. Do you think that this is the right time to spread the right kind of awareness? Because again, I feel that what is happening right now is that there are huge emotions, obviously in binaries, with nobody knowing the correct context. That we need a law is essential. How do we implement it is the debate.
Even the form of the banner of the debate has been polarizing because the way the government has gone about it, and this is, quite frankly, I think it could have done much better. The consultation needs to be beyond the boundary of intermediary liability. It doesn't need to be this restricted. And in fact, a lot of governments abroad are having that conversation, that how do we regulate technology platforms towards serving user interests? We should not forget that Twitter has been one medium which has been used in recent weeks for people to organize for emergency medical healthcare and oxygen, right? It has served value. Now, how do you ensure that that is a value which remains without it being a venue for constant propaganda, political disinformation, individual threats and abuse? So you need to have a public consultation which focuses on decreasing the harms.
And that larger point, Apar, about new rules coming in and then it serving the interests of a ruling party and not necessarily the people.
Exactly. So just in about 30 seconds, I'll wrap this up.
Sure.
What do the new rules do? They weaken privacy. They say you need to identify the first originator. Who will hold this data? WhatsApp will hold this data. Do they make bad things worse? Yes, they do. Active monitoring of harmful content, in which an AI bot is deployed to scrub through keyword or through photo DNA vast amounts of content. Does that impact our freedom of speech as users? Yes, it does. There were better ways to go about this, and that's been completely disregarded. And this is where it stands. The government has appropriated greater power to itself using a very visible mark of public need rather than addressing it. And this is unconstitutional.
All right. Thank you very much, Jitin Jain as well as Apar Gupta. And we'll know soon what the decision government is going to take. Of course, in all likelihood, it is going to be about changing of the status. Because right now, that status is complicated, as Facebook likes to put it. Thank you very much. Let's now quickly move to our discussion number 2, and that discussion is about the future of students who do not know when they will take their exams, the 12th class exams. So the present is tense, but they hope that the future will be perfect when the government takes a decision on the 1st of June. Let me quickly introduce a few children who can perhaps present their views, what they have to say. Thank you very much. We'll put their names also on the screen in just a short moment so that you know who's who. But first of all, let me start by asking you all, and you can go one by one. Are you nervous? Are you nervous that this decision has been left hanging for a very long time?
We are definitely really nervous. Like the anxiety level, the stress level right now is just way too much, because even after meetings, there's no final decision. When they sit for a meeting, we literally just leave everything and we expect that there will be a decision soon. But every time there's just uncertainty. Every time there's no decision at all, and it just breaks our heart that I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know why we are not heard. There are lakhs of students who are tweeting every day that please cancel the board exams, but there's no decision as of yet. They are still saying that they will conduct it in July and August. I just want to say one thing with folded hands.
Yeah.
That Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, एक बार आप हम बच्चों की भी मन की बात सुन लें. And I'm sure आप सुनेंगे, and I'm sure you will come up with a very good decision. जो हमारे फेवर में होगा, जो सिचुएशन को देखते हुए होगा, जो हमारी सेफ्टी को देखते हुए होगा. And I hope for the best.
Okay, that was Ritika Tiwari, by the way, a class 12 student who had this appeal for the Prime Minister. We also have Tejaswini Sudhir, as well as Parnika Malhotra and Abhishek Chaubey. Parnika, let me come to you now. You know, a lot of suggestions have been given by various state governments. A lot has been said on holding these exams online. Some say that have an open book exam. Some say defer it further. Give injections, you know, go for vaccination because you're all in the 17 to 18 age group. So take the jab and then take the exam. What do you make of these suggestions?
Personally, I feel that either our system should do it on the basis of the assessment of the assignments and the projects that were undertaken throughout the year, and if required, give some weightage to even the 10th class marks, because it was a fair exam which was conducted by CBSE, and most of our practicals also have been conducted, and the rest of them we could give vivas for them online. Those students who are maybe not satisfied with their marks could give optional board exams on a suitable date. And moreover, the students who have already appeared for their entrance exams for professional colleges and those who have secured seats in foreign universities, they all require their passing certificates. So the delay is just creating more and more anxiety.
Okay. What about you, Tejaswini?
There's definitely an element of a lot of fear. I appeared for an engineering entrance exam back in April, and a couple of days later I had all the COVID symptoms. So despite all the precautions being taken, I feel very vulnerable. So if indeed the exams take place, we are putting ourselves and our families at a lot of risk. That is certain. What happens that if a student goes to give an exam, 1 or 2 papers later, he starts showing symptoms or tests positive? It would just lead to a lot of mental trauma in addition to the typical board exam stress. So can the government, the education ministry or the state governments give us an assurance that everything would be taken care of? That assurance, that guarantee is necessary.
Okay, what about you? Abhishek is also with us. Abhishek, there was also a suggestion that students must be allowed or be promoted on the basis of their past performance, on the basis of pre-board performance and the assessment done throughout the year. Do you think that this is a wise suggestion?
Sir, in my opinion, this is definitely a wise suggestion because I am thinking on a macro level. I can't just be biased with an opinion that if the 10% of the people who want to sit for an examination won't be able to just justify their the past efforts, right? So in my opinion, the past scores are one of those scores. Like the student has also prepared for the pre-board examinations. So if a student has worked hard for pre-board examinations, practical examinations, viva, or oral assessments, then he can definitely, she can definitely be marked on those particular scores, because boards just can't justify the students' academic knowledge, right? There's also this sense of hard work which a student has done during his pre-board preparations, which are called the preparing examinations in the world of board examinations. So in my opinion, past scores definitely have a great impact.
Okay, but then, you know, Ritika, let me quickly come back to you. The problem is that there are a lot of suggestions, and one suggestion needs to be taken, or one thing needs to happen so that it's fair on all students. Do you feel that the problem, see, you've got CBSE, you've got ICSE, you've got state boards, so many students, right? If you will have different rules for different students, it will create a problem eventually for them in the future. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. First of all, the unfair to yahan hi hai that Chhattisgarh students have, they are already going to start with their exams from the 1st of June. And there's still not a uniform decision, because they have an open book exam. And if we literally have to go and give the offline exams, is this fair? There are so many suggestions that vaccination, etc. But I just have one question. The first dose of Covishield and the second dose of Covishield,
3 months
the Covaxin, it will take, and we all know the present situation right now regarding the vaccines. We all know that. आप ये कैसे बोल सकते हो that 8 months में you will vaccinate everyone? Doses के बीच में difference 1 month का नहीं है. How is this possible? And ऐसे तो like you, the 3 months, 4 months, etc. It will go on and on and on, and साल तो खत्म हो गया. When will they take the entrance exams? NEET, JEE, entrance exams of different colleges. Engineering colleges have already started, like my mate said. I was also tested positive like not less than 40 days ago. When you test positive and when you recover, the symptoms, the post-COVID effects are just like having COVID.
Correct.
You have concentration issues, you are not able to focus, there's still weakness in your body. Then there are my friends who have lost their loved ones. I know friends who have lost their parents. How is this, how is mental health a thing in this country? I just want to question.
Well said. Ritika, I must say that you have raised such pertinent questions, such important questions, and that personal appeal to the Prime Minister. Let's hope he's listening. Let's hope he understands the significance of what you're saying. You have expressed yourself in words. There are other children also who want to say similar things. We have a unique situation in this country where you have 2 class 12s. One which has already started and the others who have not cleared. So 2 class 12s in this country. How long do you keep these children hanging? Take a decision soon, take a wise decision, and take it for everyone. I know it's a difficult thing, but it needs to be done. Good night and goodbye.